You can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want first. People want value. We need to lead with that and not try to trick people into booking a demo. No one wants to book a demo. But if you give people value first and lead with that, then this is how you can get leads every week.
Welcome to Content Kingdom. This is your backstage pass to the people, tools, and the trends shaping the future of content marketing.
And welcome to another episode of Content Kingdom. I am your host, David G. Ewing, and with me is Tim Parkin of the Parkin Group. Tim, how you doing today?
Hey, David, thanks for having me. I'm excellent and super excited for this conversation.
Outstanding. Outstanding. You know, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about your introduction, but I think one of the things that I found really compelling when I was getting ready for this pod was, you know, you've worked with over 800 different marketing directors, and I think you've got a pretty tight system here for things that people can do if they are a marketing director to get out of marketing hell. And I'm pretty excited about that. So I'd love to kind of know, you know, let's start at the beginning. You know, tell me about your origin story. Where did you get started in marketing to kind of reach the point that you're at today?
Yeah. Well, I run the advisory board, which is a coaching group for marketing directors, but it didn't start that way. Actually, as a kid, my dad got me interested in magic, prestidigitation, card tricks. He was in the backyard. He had a bucket. He showed me his bucket was empty. He pulled a quarter out of thin air, dropped it in the bucket. And he did that again and again and again until he had a bucket filled up with quarters. And I thought, my God, we're going to be rich. You know, this is great as a kid. And so from there, he taught me some magic, and I learned some of the secrets of magic. And this is relevant because then I moved into programming. I became a programmer. I had a career doing programming and software development for a while. What does that have to do with marketing? Well, I realized, David, that magic and technology is marketing. That nowadays, marketing and technology are synonymous. You can't do marketing without understanding the digital landscape and technology and the pixels and the remarketing, the automations. There's so much technology in marketing. And also magic has so many similarities to marketing. It's about telling a story that people want to hear and engage and lean in. It's about controlling attention and the misdirection. It's about emotion and feeling and leaving people with a feeling of awe and amazement. And so I've been fortunate to take magic and technology and merge them together and realized marketing is the best of both worlds. And it's a really cool place to be.
All right. Well, I've got some more questions about magic in a minute because nice. If you can do a trick or give me some advice, I'd love to hear it. But
amazing.
You know, one of the things that you talk about a lot is that marketers are stuck in marketing hell. And, you know, help me understand, like, what does that look like on a normal Tuesday?
Oh, is there such a thing as a normal Tuesday in marketing? It's so tough. There's so many meetings and demands and pressures. And everybody I connect with on LinkedIn who's a marketer, I ask them this one question, which is, how big is your marketing team? And overall, the average, this is over years of asking people this every day, the average is about 4 people. Marketing team's about 4 people. And what's fascinating to me about that is there's just so much to do. And the weight of the entire company can feel like it's on your shoulders as a marketer, that there's meetings you're having, there's goals you're trying to hit, there's metrics to track, there's reporting to build, there's campaigns to launch. I mean, I can go on and on for hours about all the stuff a marketer has to do. So a typical Tuesday looks like chasing those fires, trying to tell the CEO no to their new idea, trying to make sure all the campaigns are running, and trying to look at the results from reporting and not get depressed that we don't have the results coming in. And what do we do about it? There's just so much to do, so much to get done. And no day is the same. And so a lot of what we talk about is how do you create consistency and how do you create results and how do you make marketing more predictable for you and for the company and for your boss?
You know, I think that that makes sense. And, you know, another big theme that I've read about with you is the idea that, you know, marketers really wish they could spend more time being strategic. And I wanted to know, like, you know, out of the people that you've coached, what is the biggest misconception that they have about being strategic?
Ooh, this is juicy, David. This is good. Yeah. I think it's that more so that marketers, marketing directors specifically, don't want to be the button pusher. Someone's got to push the buttons, right? And I think that we often think that, well, it shouldn't be me. I want to be quote unquote strategic. Well, as you said, what does that mean? What does that look like to be strategic? And what I found is the number one problem that marketing directors have with being strategic is they're just doing what they're told. The boss, the CEO has an idea. Someone throws something new. The agency says we should do this thing. And we just start doing everything and anything. And most marketing directors, when I talk to them, they're juggling social channels, several social channels. They're running cold email campaigns. They're trying to run ads. They're trying to update the website. They're creating blogs. It's like all this stuff just because some LinkedIn thought leader said they should, or they watched a YouTube video, or their CEO had a good idea. And the reality is, the truth here is that almost everything is irrelevant. You only need one or two really good things to work. And we spend so much time spreading ourselves so thin. I learned this as the law of raspberry jam. The more you spread it, the thinner it gets. And that's your budget, that's your time, that's your energy. That if you do too much, nothing really matters. Nothing has an impact. And instead, we need to find the one or two things that actually do have an impact and focus only on those things.
I don't know what that says about me, because I like marmalade and not raspberry, and I love being the button pusher. But I guess that's those are a couple flaws I'll work out on my own time. Okay. So if you're going to get out of this trap, right? We're going to follow your system. One of the goals is to create the perfect week. Okay.
Yes.
So if we're going to do that, walk us through the first 15 minutes of creating that perfect week. What do you do? How does that work?
Yeah. The first thing you can do right now, if you're listening to this or watching this, is what I call the strategic hour. If you want to be more strategic and you want to do something right now you can do in 5 minutes or less to be more strategic, it's this. It's pull up your calendar and look at next week and block off 1 hour to be strategic. And what I mean by that is block off 1 hour of time, call it your strategic hour, make sure you're busy on the calendar so people can't block over it, and really write this down for yourself that you are not letting anybody use that time. You're not going to move it. You're not going to budge. Even if the CEO asks you for something, you're going to say, during this time, I'm unavailable. And then use that time to actually be strategic. And we can talk about what you do in that time, but that's step one. Is the goal to fixing your week is you have to make time for the things that you want to do, the one you want to be. And the biggest challenge a lot of marketing directors have is a lack of control over their time. David, there's a book I read every year called Do It Tomorrow and Other Secrets of Time Management. It is not only a great title for a time management book, but it's the best time management book ever written. And I read it every single year. And it opens with this quote, which is, to complain about a lack of time is like a fish in the ocean complaining about a lack of water. We have all the time we need. We have all the time we want. We use it incorrectly. We let other people steal it from us, and we give it to them freely. And this is your CEO I'm talking about. It's your team. It's your agency. It's the customers. It's everybody. You have to decide what does strategic look like, and then make the time to spend it where you'll have the biggest impact.
Okay, great. I'll check that out. What was that book again, in case people missed it?
Do It Tomorrow and Other Secrets of Time Management. It is just the most intuitive, counterintuitive book on time management ever. It's amazing. But that's step one, is strategic hour. Step two, though, is what I call to F your meetings, which is to fix your meetings. The F stands for fix. We'll go with that. And it's getting out of meetings. You have too many meetings. A lot of marketers have too many meetings. Some people have a team. They'll have a team of 3 or 4 people, and they'll have a one-on-one with every person in their team every week. That's 2 to 4 hours a week you're wasting. Or you have a big company all hands. Are you really contributing? Are you really listening? And so there's 4 ways to get out of meetings, but you need to get out of meetings is the next step. You need to make time for that. And then you need to plan out your perfect week. Block off the things you want to actually do. When will you review the analytics? When will you produce content? When will you delegate things? And I like to have at the end of every day a daily review, which is a block of 15 minutes at the end of my day, where you take all the stuff you talked about this week, all the people you met, all the notes, all the things that are floating around, and you just organize them and clean it up. Because we often don't spend time cleaning up our lists, our project management tools, et cetera, and they get to be a huge mess, right? Your email inbox, a huge mess. We need to spend time every day being methodical and intentional about how do we stay organized.
All right. So I'm going to become Tim Parkin disciple here. And I have put in my strategy hour. It's going to be noon on Monday.
Perfect.
I'm going to F a bunch of my meetings. That sounds good. And so my first question for you, though, like as I think about that, and I know we don't want to spend too much time going into every single one of the details, but
sure.
How does somebody look at all the meetings that they have and say, these are the ones you got to cut first?
Yeah. Totally. A lot of my clients have joined the group and they say, after doing this one thing, I got rid of 16 meetings a month and saved tons of hours. So it's using these 4 methods. So the first is the format. Can you change the format of the meeting? Meaning, instead of an hour long, can we make it 30 minutes? instead of a meeting where we're all getting together on Zoom, can we just send a Loom in Slack to each other where we all watch? So can you change the format? That's the first thing. The second thing is the biggest one, though, which is frequency. Too often we have recurring meetings. There's only two reasons to have a meeting: to brainstorm or to make a decision. Anything else is not a meeting. It's just people hanging out doing some stuff. So to brainstorm, we need to talk together, or to make a decision. And so if you change the frequency, that can help a lot. So this is my clients who have a one-on-one every week. Don't do it every week. Do it every 2 weeks. Already, that's half the time now. So format and frequency are really good. The third is to follow up, which is to say, hey, I'm not coming to the meeting. Let's follow up. Send me any notes. Send me the transcript. I'll review it. And the fourth is to forego, is to just delete the meeting altogether. And this can be the hardest for most people, but it's really easy to do if you say, you know what, David, I know we have this meeting. We've had it every month. I don't feel like I'm contributing a lot. And I feel bad because I don't have a lot of follow-up actions, or I don't have the time right now. I'm really busy. Can you just send me the notes? I'm not going to show up anymore. But if there's something really important you need from me, David, of course, let me know. I'm happy to, help out where I can. You're being a team player still, but you're saying, I'm out. And you have to be that direct. And a lot of what I help marketing directors with is the confidence of how to do these things. So format, frequency, follow up, and forgo are the 4 ways. But if you get rid of these meetings, you'll save a ton of time every month that you can then reinvest in the things that actually matter, that are more strategic.
Outstanding. All right. I can do a couple of those Fs.
Last thing I'll say, David, is meetings. There's a problem with meetings. People don't realize is that meetings create more work. You leave a meeting with a list of action items, or then you have to meet again about, well, Susan wasn't there or John missed it. Let's talk with them. So meetings beget more meetings. And it's another reason why meetings are the devil.
Got it. All right. I'm in on that one. So let's, okay. So you start to help people with their time and focus, and creating the perfect week sounds pretty good. The next thing you do is really talk about strategy made simple, and walk us through that. What does that really mean?
Yeah, there's a misnomer here of strategy. Like, what does strategy really mean? And I think strategy means that you can take the pieces you've got and use them in the most effective way to win the war, not just the battle. When we think about tactics, it's how do I get people to respond today? How do I get more leads? How do I get people to book demos with me? That's very tactical thinking. Strategic is thinking, what are the pieces that we've got as a company and the strengths that we have? And how do we win? How do we succeed? How do we dominate this industry? And unfortunately, there's a lot of, I think, highfalutin thinking around strategy, that it needs to be complicated or involved. And it really doesn't. You have a couple things internal. You have fuel, things that have worked well in the past, whether it's campaigns or channels. You have thought leadership at your company, I hope or presume. Maybe your company has expertise or case studies, but those are all fuel for your success. We need to use those things, but we need to think about who we're going after as well. Who is your ICP? Where do you find them? What do they really want? And how do we mirror and match the things your company has, the strengths you have, with the ICP and what they want? And when you connect those things, magic happens. And there's a big problem here of wants versus needs. And if you're visual, here's the wants and here's the needs. Your customers want stuff, and you have stuff that they need. And those are parallel lines. They do not intersect. What you have for them that they need is not something that they want. That's the number one challenge in marketing. And so strategy connects those two. It's how do you give them what they want so that you have an opportunity to give them what they need. And there's a famous quote here by Zig Ziglar, which is, you can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want first. To me, that's marketing.
Okay. And so do you have any good examples of a company that like massively overthought their strategy, and then when they really distilled it down, it was actually much simpler?
Yeah, well, I think it's even beyond that, which is they don't even understand what strategy looks like. And we think that strategy is, we're going to post 7 times a week on LinkedIn, and we're going to have 5 events, and we'll do every trade show. So one of my clients was doing 230 events a year, as an example. 230 events a year. Think about the cost, first off, and then the time to manage and coordinate all that. And so what she's working on now is, how can we do 50 events a year and be just as successful, if not more successful? Because again, it's not about doing everything. It's about focusing here. That's being strategic. Which of these events actually matter? And what else could we do with that time and space? That's thinking strategically. And often strategy is, again, about doing less, not more. And if you're thinking about adding more things, I think you're going down the wrong rabbit hole. Strategy is about taking the pieces you've got and making the most out of them. It's like cooking, right? You don't dump in more stuff. That doesn't make the food better. It's often about choosing the right things and having the right amounts of them to make the food really good.
So there's like this old classic saying, and I don't even know who it's attributed to, but it's the CEO saying, 50% of our marketing is like solid gold and 50% is trash. And I'll be damned if I can tell the difference. What's your reaction to that statement? What do you think of that statement?
I think they're right and they're wrong. They're absolutely right about it. But I think that 80% of the marketing is trash. That's what I've seen. That most of the stuff we do is a waste of time and a waste of money. And the problem is, not only does the CEO not know, but the marketer doesn't know either. And this goes to the idea of results in advance, which I'm happy to talk about, which is how do you know beforehand that it's going to work? And imagine if you had a crystal ball that you could ask, is this going to work? Will our customers respond? Will it work? Will it give us leads? If you could know that, my God, marketing would be super simple, wouldn't it? And you'd always win. You'd always get leads. You'd always have an ROI. It's like, how do we get that? That's the thing that I think we need to learn as marketers is results in advance. And fortunately, I have some thoughts around it.
And that's where I think we'd like to go next. Because yes, I think there are plenty of CEOs who still feel, that there is 50% that's solid gold and 50% that's trash, and they can't tell the difference. So results in advance is a concept that you were telling me about that really helps you understand, well, in advance, before you spend a lot of money, what are we going to get from it? So that I think is something a lot of marketers want to know about in content and otherwise. So please, Tim, tell us a little bit about results in advance.
Would it be helpful if I share my screen, or would you like me to just talk through it for both?
No, go ahead,
awesome.
Man.
Let's take a look. If I can,
and I'll kind of narrate along for our audio only listeners as we do that.
Yes, thank you. I can't share my iPad here, so I'll narrate here, and if I get it working, we'll pull it up. But there's two concepts that I think first we need to start with. One is ROI, which obviously is return on investment. How do we know that our marketing is generating money? But the second is more important, which is ROE, which is return on effort. How do we know that the effort we put in actually generates a return? And most marketing takes a lot of effort and gives us very little return. And the reality is, even if you get a low ROI, if you have a good ROE, return on effort, you have more energy to put into other things that can work. So we have to maximize, I think, for ROE, which is return on effort. How do we get the most out of our effort? And a lot of marketers have a problem here. What we do in marketing is 3 steps. We plan some stuff, we build some plans, and then we do some stuff, and then we see if it worked or not. That's like the traditional marketing flow. Plan some stuff, do it, and then see if it worked. The problem is, I think it's the wrong order. What if you could just do some stuff, see if it works, and then build plans to build on that? And that's really where this idea of results in advance comes from. So there's this triangle, and I'll do hand drawings here. There's a triangle here, which is often called pick 2. And at the top, you have good, and you have fast and cheap. So it's good, it's fast, it's cheap. And you get to pick 2. And I ask people this all the time, David. In your marketing, which would you pick? Good, fast, or cheap? So if you could pick 2 of those, what do you think you would choose?
Well, good kind of works, for me. Between fast and cheap, boy, I'll tell you what, I do some trade-offs on those two. I think I lean towards fast, but a lot of times then I wind up with not good.
Yes. It's true. It's a tough situation, right? Like, how do you choose among these things? And so let me see if I can share this now, because we'll draw it out. Let's see if the show will work. Is it working? Okay.
Let's see.
Let's see if we can see it. But in this triangle, if you have good, fast, and cheap, I think the answer is you can have it all. We need to pick all of them, right? You want to have a good, you want to have a fast, you want to have a cheap. And so the way to approach this is to start with the base level, where we have fast and cheap at the bottom. And if we can validate, we can do things fast and cheap. And the goal is not to make it good in the beginning. The goal is to figure out, how do we validate? Could this work for us? Once we've validated it fast and cheap, the next level of the pyramid here is we're moving towards good. We're not good yet, but we're moving towards good. We've already validated it. Now we can optimize it. So first we validate fast and cheap, then we optimize, which means we make it a little bit better. Once we've optimized it, we know it's working. Then we can move to the top of the pyramid, which is to scale it, which now it's good. Now we can put more time, more people, and more money into it. So first we validate fast and cheap, then we optimize, and then we scale. And if you approach marketing in this way, you move from, instead of planning and then doing and seeing, you do first, you see if it works, and then you build your plans. And that's a cycle that repeats. Now we can reflect and analyze what actually happened and decide, do we continue it? Do we abandon it? or do we want to improve it? And so it changes the whole cycle of marketing.
All right. Now that is mind blowing to me because the idea that good wouldn't be in the start does make my eyeball twitch, but I get it. I think I'm going to go with what you're saying here. So give me an example, where this has worked.
Absolutely. There are two really good examples that are classic. The first, my favorite, is TripAdvisor. And TripAdvisor is the largest travel site in the world. If you've ever traveled, you've probably used it. If you haven't traveled, you should definitely check it out. But their CEO actually applied this idea. And TripAdvisor in the past, they would make new pages on their website, they would add new features, they would change things, and it would take a lot of time and money to do that. And they would have all these meetings, going back to meetings about what should it say, what are the exact words, what should the design look like. So all the details, right, would take time and money and effort. And instead, the CEO said, let's stop this. We're wasting so much time and money. What if we just put a link on this site to a new page, to a new feature, to a new part of the site? And let's just see if people click it. And if nobody clicks it, or very few people click it, we're not wasting time building that thing because not enough people want it. Or maybe if nobody clicks it, it means we're not selling it correctly. It does not call the right thing, or it's not clear what it is, or it's in the wrong part of the site. But if a ton of people click it, then we have our validation. And we can know we should build it because a lot of people want it or they want to explore it. And what happens here is if you put a broken link on your site like that goes nowhere, you get an error on your browser. It's called the 404 error, which means page not found. And a lot of concern about this happened in the company. They said, what if we do this and people see a 404 error? Well, they tested it and consumers, users realized that was probably the internet, or my internet had a problem, not that TripAdvisor's big company, this big website had a problem. So they could just put broken links on their site, see what people click. If no one clicked it, they would change the words or change the place and realize what people really want. And then once they knew, then they would go and build the right thing that they knew people actually wanted to see and do. So that's the 404 test. It's the simplest, easiest way, but this idea applies to all of your marketing. I'm happy to share more examples.
I'd love to hear another one because I love that example. I'd love to pitch that as an opportunity to do it, but I think I'm going to need some more ammunition because I actually yeah. All right, you go first. Then I have a story.
Here's some more. Yeah, I'll give you a bunch more.
All right.
So Buffer's another example. Then I'll tell you what I do. Then I'll tell you what we do in the group. Buffer's a really good example. They're a social media scheduling tool, buffer.com. And what they did when they first launched is they had a page that would describe Buffer, and it said, here's what we do. We help you schedule your tweets on Twitter. Click here to get started. You click the button to get started. It would go to a page that had the pricing plans, and you'd be like, great. And you click a pricing plan. I want the middle plan. I want the low plan. But then it would take you to a page that said, oops, you caught us. We actually haven't built the thing yet. Give us your email address. We'll put you on the wait list, so you can join when it's ready. So they already know that you're interested. They know what plan you want. And now they have your email so they can tell you when they're ready and actually build the thing. So it's another great way to do this. It's kind of a wait list mentality, but they kind of bait and switched you a little bit to make sure they can get the feedback they need to know you're ready to buy and what level you'd buy. And I do this all the time, and my group does this all the time. We build cookies, which are an upgraded version of a lead magnet. And when we build it, we don't want to build something and then send it out and have crickets. We want to make sure people want it. And so what I do, what the group does, is we come up with an idea, we shape it up in the group, quickly, and then we just send the idea out there. We haven't built the thing yet, the asset, the resource. So I'll send an email to my list, for example, and say, hey, I put this document together that has how to do better marketing without spending more time on it. Would you like it? And a bunch of people reply, hundreds of replies. If 100 people reply, great. Tomorrow I'll go and build the thing and send it out. And because email has a natural time delay, it gives me the space to actually build it. But you can do this if you even have a concept. Now with AI, you can build stuff so fast. If you have existing resources, you can package them up. But send an email out, make a social post and say, here's this thing. Anybody want it? And if people say yes, you're onto something. And a couple of days later, you can turn it around to them, message them and say, here you go, I've got it for you. And this goes right back into validating. We do that fast and cheap. Fast, we send the idea out. And cheap, we're not making it good. The first version of whatever you build doesn't have to be good.
All right. So Tim, you've already broken 3 major behaviors or patterns that I have had for years and years. So I'm going to go for number 4 now. And you've got another idea, which is outsource for outcomes. And I think that's a pretty nice phrase, but what does it mean?
Yeah, this is a big one. Unfortunately, in marketing and in business, we tend to think about delegation. goes back to being strategic. I don't want to be pushing the buttons. So I want to outsource. I want to get someone else to push the buttons, right? That's the idea. And what I found both personally and with my clients over the years is that when you outsource something, we're really bad about that. We think that our internal knowledge automatically transfers to someone else. And we think that you know what I expect of you, or you know how I would do it. And it's really hard to outsource something, to delegate something to someone else, and to not have them do the exact same steps or quality that you would do. So that's the problem with outsourcing. I'm sure you've seen this before, and it's a big issue, especially with those marketers who you work with agencies. You know, your agency is not doing the right things, and you're like, shouldn't they know what to do? They're an agency. And so outsourcing for outcomes is about how do you get the outcome that you really want, and not worry about telling them the step-by-steps of the tasks. And so there are two parts to this. The first is let's set expectations of the actual outcome that we want. Why are we doing this thing? And the second is the structure of how do we actually communicate that with them to make sure they understand it and that we can hold them accountable.
Got it. Got it. And so when doing this, I've struggled with this because I feel I am a classic micromanager, and
Yes.
I felt that I'm doing it to protect quality. So how do you protect quality without micromanaging?
Yes, this is key. Quality is huge, right? Because often we think that only I can do this. And a lot of marketing directors say, well, I'll never escape pushing the buttons myself, right? Because no one could do it the way I could do it, or everybody I've tried to give this to doesn't understand. So when it comes to quality, there's a number of things. First, if we go back to the triangle of validate, optimize, and scale, it's what does quality really look like? Does this need to be good? Or is it just that we feel like it needs to be good? And this is about the outcome, the expectation of what is the result that we want. You know, if the agency or your contractor is not writing the blog in the exact right way, who cares if it's ranking and getting traffic and bringing in leads, right? So sometimes we have an expectation on quality that doesn't need to be there. So that's the first step, is can we jettison or realign our expectation of quality? The second, though, is to be extremely specific and clear on what we expect and what good looks like. And there's a lot of tactical ways to do this. You know, one is providing examples to a contractor or to a person on your team to say, look at these and see what is good about that. But the other is to have a checklist. And there's a great book called The Checklist Manifesto, but checklists are really effective. This is not an SOP. This is a checklist to say everything we produce of this type, we should review it in this way. So let's take blogs as an example. Every blog we publish, here's a checklist we need to run through. It needs to have one H1 tag. It needs to have the heading structure look like this. It needs to have a call to action at least 2 places. It needs to have a title tag that matches the keyword phrase. All these different things. But have a checklist, and anytime something doesn't meet those expectations, doesn't have the right quality, let's one, have a conversation about, I expected this, can you adjust it? But two, let's update that checklist. And that way, the only problems you ever have are, I didn't tell you what was the right expectation for quality, and let's fix that and add it to the checklist. Or you didn't follow the checklist, and let's have that conversation instead.
Well, I think a checklist like the one you described is a heck of a lot better than kind of a slew of KPIs that I have typically tried to instill when I'm working with a freelancer or an agency. And so I do like that a lot better. So let's pivot then off of outsource for outcomes and talk about the weekly leads machine. Now, I love this. I just love the idea of leads every week consistently. Yes. So tell me how you're going to make unicorns dance and birds sing, man. What's the weekly leads machine all about?
I love it. Yes. Yes. Well, related to outsource to outcomes, but leading into the weekly lead machine is this big idea in marketing. And I'll share my screen for this because it's important. There's a diagram here that if I map out is activity versus outcomes. So if you're just listening and not watching, there are two things that we do in marketing. There are activities that we do, and there are outcomes that you get. And these are important to think about in your marketing. So we have activities, which is the first thing that you do, and outcomes that you get. And when we think about these, most marketing teams are really focused on the activities. And what we need to be focused on are the outcomes. And when it comes to getting leads, though, there's a problem here, right? That if this is a timeline, in the beginning, you're just doing activities. You have no leads. You're just starting a new campaign. It's all activity, right? You're just doing stuff and no results have come in yet. And at the end of your campaign, you've spent your budget. Hopefully, it's the outcome, right? Hopefully, you have a lot of outcomes. But whatever outcome has happened, and you can't change it. And you don't have time or energy or money to do more activities. And so when we think about measuring marketing, both in terms of outsourcing for outcomes or getting leads or just managing your team day to day, what do we measure here? We need to measure some activities and some outcomes. And we need to think about both sides. So I share this as I prepare to talk about the weekly lead machine, but also just to think about holistically. So many marketers are stuck on one end of this spectrum when really marketing is about both of these and how they work together. And so if you take this idea and apply it to the weekly lead machine, it's how do we do a set of activities every week that gives us an outcome every week? And if you can create that yin yang, then you can have a constant flow of new leads coming in, which I think is really important and really useful. And so in the group, we do this a couple of ways. One, we build what I call a cookie. And a cookie goes back to this book you probably read as a kid, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. And if you give a mouse a cookie, they're going to want a glass of milk to go with it. And that's the problem right now with lead magnets. Lead magnets are garbage because you give people a lead magnet and you get their name and their email. Great. Who cares? You have another person you can spam who doesn't want to hear from you. A cookie is lead magnet 2.0. It's let me give you something that you want, but now let me use that to show you something even better. And I call this the upgrade. So I'm sure you've flown a bunch, David, but if you ever go into the plane and imagine you're walking into the plane and they say, excuse me, sir, we have a first class seat. Would you like to try it for this flight? You're going to be like, heck yes, I would. Who would say no to that, right? So that's the idea of the upgrade is how do we give people a cookie, something they want, and then upgrade them with something even better? So how I do this is I have a roadmap for marketing directors. It maps out the 2-year plan of all the stuff you should do as a marketing director. People love it and they want it. And when they download it, instead of a thank you page that says, oh, thanks for getting the thing, it's coming to you, the page says, hey, wait a second, you got the roadmap, amazing. You know what would be even better than the roadmap is how about you and I jump on a call for 15 minutes and I walk you through the roadmap and I ask you a few questions and point out the stuff you should focus on. And it's a help call, not a sales call. I have nothing to sell you. I just want to help you make the most out of it. Most people who see that say, yeah, that sounds better and I'd love to jump on that call. And this is the idea I mentioned before from Zig Ziglar of you can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want first. People want help. People want value. We need to lead with that and not try to trick people into booking a demo. No one wants to book a demo. I wish we'd stop saying book a demo. Nobody wants to book a demo. I can get it, or a call. But if you give people value first and lead with that, then this is how you can get leads every week consistently.
So Tim, this little example you give me reminds me of that Got Milk commercial from 20 years ago or whatnot. But a guy gets hit by a car in the opening scene and he's kind of a jerk on his phone. He's like a real annoying executive. But then he wakes up and it's all pearly white and there's a big plate of cookies and he eats a cookie and it's like, hey, heaven, this is great. And he's eating his cookie and then he goes over to the refrigerator, opens it up and there's no milk in it. And it's like, oh no. So anyway, yeah, you're definitely, I like that. So
good you remember too. That's awesome. It's perfect.
Yeah. So anyway, we might, if it's available, we'll put a link to it in the show notes so everybody can enjoy the classic Got Milk commercial. But yeah, well, I love that idea, right? So, okay, so you give somebody something, you kind of whet their appetite and now they got to have the milk and love that. Okay, great. Want to talk to you a little bit about data. I am a recovering data junkie. I'm just going to say that right now. Hello, my name is David. You talk about having a 30-second dashboard to measure what matters. So tell me, what are the things that a marketer always has to have on their Measure What Matters 30-second dashboard?
Yeah. David, do you have a favorite sport at all?
This is going to be unfair because it's not one that most people like, but I'm a huge lacrosse guy. I love lacrosse. Cool. That's I don't know if that helps, but if you want a more basic sport, how about baseball? We could go with baseball.
Okay, baseball's good because I hate baseball. Now it's going to be my example is, if you go to a baseball game, what I hate about baseball is that, it's like a 4-hour game and the ball's in play for 30 minutes. And so, but there's one good thing about baseball that I love. And this is where this idea came from. Is if you walk into a baseball game, whether you're there on time or you're there 2 hours late, you can look at the scoreboard and you know everything about the game. You know what inning it is. You know what the score is. You know the current play and how many balls there are. You know if the bases are loaded or not. You can tell everything from this one scoreboard in baseball. It's absolutely genius. And I think that's what marketers desperately need in their marketing. You need the baseball scoreboard that says, where are we at? Where have we come from? How close are we to the finish line, to success? And so those are the things you want to show in your marketing dashboard. If you think about it from a baseball scoreboard perspective, is what is our goal that we're trying to achieve? How close are we to that goal? What are the things that we're doing to get to that goal? And how are those things going? And so if you have a revenue target or a monthly lead target, MQLs, that's a great thing to have there. What's your progress to that? What's your run rate there? If you have channels you're investing in, like paid ads, okay, it's how much have we spent so far? How much budget is remaining? How many leads have we gotten? What's our cost per lead? It's the funnel. What's our conversion rate? Of calls we've booked, deals we've closed, deals in pipeline. It's all that stuff. And it'll vary, obviously, depending on the type of business and industry, et cetera. But generally, those are the best practices of how do we build a baseball dashboard that anybody could look at. But there are 4 levels of reporting to think about. And so if I may, I'll see if we can doodle again here real quick for the people who can watch.
Go for it.
But there are 4 levels of reporting that are really important here. And the first is you think about yourself, but there are typically in any company 4 levels. And so the company has at the top company reporting. And then below that, there's department reporting in a bigger company. And then below that, there's team reporting. And then below that, there's individual contributor reporting. And so when you build a dashboard, you really need to think about who is this dashboard for? Because your company typically reports things on a quarterly basis. So they want to see things from that perspective. A department typically reports things on a monthly basis. How is the department doing? This is usually where marketers live. You're the marketing department, even if it's just you. And so we're looking at it on a monthly basis so we can report up to the company and show our progress. But your team should be looking at things on a weekly basis, which is what's happening this week in our world and how are things going. And the individual contributors should be looking daily. So if you have someone on your team doing SEO or Facebook ads or LinkedIn ads or social media, every day they should be looking at certain metrics within their world to report on. And so the challenge here is, do you have a dashboard for each of these? One for the company to report quarterly, one for the marketing to show marketing holistically, which could be a slide deck and not a dashboard. But then weekly, do you have a team weekly view? And then does everybody on your team have their own quote unquote dashboard to look at their metrics and see what's important, what's moving, what's not, and how to fix it?
Got it. Can you tell me about a time when you caught a metric and it unveiled a hidden problem that you wouldn't have otherwise caught?
Yeah, this happens a lot. It's actually a really good question, David. There's so many things that we assume are the actual problem. And so just today, actually, I was working with a client and they have a cart for business customers to order stuff. And if you look at it, there's a bunch of people who started the cart. Let's say 50 people started the cart process to order something, but 0 orders. And so you think, okay, 50 people started the cart,
Ouch.
Nobody ordered. There's some problem with the cart here. Are there problems with the cart? Absolutely there are. But if you look at the bigger picture and zoom out a little bit, we see 8,000 people came to the landing page and only 50 of those people started the cart. So that's the bigger problem, right? Is we have the wrong people coming to the page, because we should have a lot more than 50 people starting the cart. We should have way more people if we have the right people. So really it's a targeting problem, or it's a communication, the message problem. The cart sure might have problems, but the real problem is much bigger when you zoom out and look at that. And that's why it's always helpful to see the whole funnel of who are we getting, how are they getting here, how many people are getting here, and what are the steps they're taking along the way. We have to think big picture, strategically, zoom out. It's very easy to zoom in too close and miss the big picture.
Okay, got it. Well, Tim, you do a lot of this coaching for a lot of different people, right? So you just mentioned today you were working on that problem and caught that. Give me an idea of how you hold people accountable as a coach without either shaming them or babysitting them or otherwise mistreating them, but still driving that accountability. What do you really do there to help?
That's huge. Yeah, I think we all need accountability. Even myself, I think we all can benefit from accountability. So that's one, is it's not a bad word, to have accountability. I think sometimes we have the expectation that it's a bad thing. Second, we do it a number of ways in my coaching group. One, we have a Slack where we all hang out and chat, so we can share stuff for feedback or ask questions. And it's great to hear other people have the same problems as you. Despite our group being all different industries, it's almost all B2B, but you'll ask a question about your CMS or your CRM or this report, and people give you feedback because some of them have been there, some of them haven't, some of them are there right now. So one is finding your people, maybe in my coaching group, maybe elsewhere, but find your people because that helps a lot to have groupthink and accountability. The second, though, is we do squads in our group also, where we connect you with 3 other people just like you. And that way you meet individually every week. Meeting could be just a Slack message or an email or maybe a Zoom, but you get to kind of focus more closely with each other and say, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm struggling with. It's a lot easier to open up in a smaller group than it is a bigger group. So that's really key. But some people do like the accountability, and we'll meet every week one-on-one, and they'll show me what they're doing, and we'll talk about, they feel like they're not confident in their role and they should step out and let someone more experienced come in. And we can unpack that and help them see that they do have the skills. Or maybe they're dealing with something in the company right now. The company's trying to get the next level of funding. How can they show the results and package things up? So different people are different, but we provide a lot of ways to stay accountable. And the last part is just a cycle, right? We do 6-week cycles. So every 6 weeks, we map out what's the important thing to focus on right now, 1 or 2 key projects. And then for the next 6 weeks, we focus on just that and we keep you accountable for it. You talk about what you're doing, you share the results, etc. And then we repeat that every 6 weeks. So it gives you that cadence of consistency, and it's short enough to stay focused, but long enough to get something meaningful done.
So you've made mention of this, and I think our listeners probably want the context of this, and that is, a big part of what you offer are these coaching groups, and it's in this 6-week period where marketing directors and their peers can be part of this small little network or community that you build. And one of the things I thought that was most powerful is, you do have a 30-day money back guarantee to let people try it, and it's only for 6 weeks anyway. So, but let me ask you a question. Like, have you ever had to give back? Have you ever had to honor the 30-day guarantee?
It's a great question. I'm really happy and really proud to say, no, we've never had to return anybody's money. And I think it's really important that, you work with an agency or anybody. How do you know if it's going to work? And I think it's unfair that you take that risk in anything in life. I don't want to take that risk with a service provider or an agency or a company. And if you're really good, if you can really help me, then you should take the risk for me. And that's what we do. And I would love for people to come in and check it out and say, you know what, this is not for me. And that's totally fine. I'm not here to take people's money, David. I'm here to help them. And it's been really cool because the genesis for this coaching group was I was working in training, consulting, and advising lots of big companies. And I realized they all have the same problems, like big, small, medium, they all have the same problems. And I thought selfishly, let me save myself some time and build a coaching group where I can just not repeat myself, essentially. And I was so wrong, because what I realized is people need a lot more than that, and they need each other. And the group now is the most valuable aspect. It's having other people just like you who can go through the same problems with you, share their experience and advice. And yes, I'm there giving advice and feedback and helping support you, but it's that we're a group and we help each other and we learn together. And it's real world stuff. It's not pontification or that random nonsense you see on LinkedIn, about like, this is the new thing. It's like, no, we're doing the actual real hard work, and we're dealing with the emotion and the logic and the tasks and tactics.
So can you share like an example of someone from one of your groups and kind of how it's transformed them?
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's so many stories. How much time do you have? Yeah. A lot of people in my group join because they don't have leads. They've been in their role for a while. They have no leads. So, Brian started a new strategy and started getting leads right away. Samantha is one of my stars. We have one tactic in the group. It's called the 9-word email. It's a special email we can send out to get leads. And Samantha watched the 20-minute video, took the template, copied it, adjusted it, sent it out, and she got 50 new leads coming in. The sales team was actually mad at her and said, you created more work for us because she got so many leads. So that's the stuff we love. Is in the group, we do 3 things. You learn some stuff, definitely, but you do some stuff, which is most important because you don't get any results unless you do stuff. And then you share, hey, this worked, go do it. And it encourages others. Or you share, hey, this didn't work. And you get feedback and support for everybody, including myself, to say, tweak it, change it, and do this now instead. So learn, do, share, and we repeat that cycle over and over again. And it's, I think, one of the most powerful ways to operate. And it's great to, again, have people just like you having the same problems, doing the same stuff to learn and grow and get results in.
So I think no podcast these days is complete without getting a take on AI. And
Yes.
so, as a marketing director, talk to me about how AI is both helping and hurting the people in your mastermind groups. What are they doing with it, and how's it changing them?
Yeah, this is fascinating, David, because my background in technology is actually I have a degree in game design development, and I worked for military simulation back in the day. And so I was building AI, 20 years ago. And so this whole AI thing to me was kind of a joke. This is not anything new, and I resisted AI for a while. Now I think it's unavoidable. You have to learn something about AI and know how to apply it. And it can be very helpful. And I use it every day to do certain things. But there's a trap, which is if you just delegate everything to AI without the right frameworks, without the right approach, without the right strategic thinking, then you're just becoming more of the same. And that's a huge problem. So now we've taken the frameworks and the strategies that actually work, and we've built AI tools in our community. So now it can accelerate the things you're doing. So that 9-word email example I gave you from Samantha, we have a tool that will write it for you. So you answer 5 questions and it gives you multiple versions of the email, and you can cycle through them. That way you can just take it and run with it much faster. So it's really speeding up things for us in the group to allow you to move faster, get results faster, make it easier. So there's less resistance and less time and effort, but it's not replacing the thinking, because you need the right strategies, you need the right approach, you need the right frameworks to get results. If you just throw a bunch of AI slop at the wall, that's not going to work.
Got it. Well, that's super helpful, Tim. And, I think that, going through all the different elements of your program, it sounds extraordinarily compelling. So if a listener is listening to this and is feeling as compelled as I am to say, hey, I might want to take a look at this, where do they go? How do they get started? What do they do?
Yeah, absolutely. The best place is to go on LinkedIn and look me up there, Tim Parkin, connect with me there. I post and share a bunch of free advice every day. I post twice a day on LinkedIn. So that's the best place. You'll see some stuff from the group you can take and steal. On there also, you can join with me, connect with me on our monthly roundtable. It's a free event. It's called the Marketing Leader Roundtable. And what we do every month is we just share and teach some stuff from inside the group. Again, completely free. We just give it away and say, use this, steal it. It's wonderful. We have over 100 people join every month. We've been doing it for almost 2 years. It's just a fun place to hang out with other marketing directors and get to see what kind of the group is like. And then if you want to, you can message me on LinkedIn, and I'll give you all the details about the group so you can join. It's an awesome place. It's a really special place. I'm very fortunate to have stumbled into this accidentally. And it's just an amazing group of smart, successful people who want to learn, who are ambitious, who want to share and help each other. And it's the coolest place in the world.
So wait a minute, I didn't realize the accidental part. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What does that mean?
Yeah. Like I said before, I was doing a lot of consulting and advising, and I thought I'd make this group more of like a course type of thing where I'm the expert, I know all the answers, follow these things, and it'll work. And that's how it started, and it was successful.
Okay.
But I quickly realized that most marketing directors have a lot of problems, more than I realized, and a lot of those problems are confidence and clarity. Like, do I belong in this role? Do I have the skills? How do I speak up to my boss? So there's a whole host of other stuff now that we talk about. So for example, we have a call every couple months called Peer Perspectives, where all we do on the call is just talk about those challenges. How do I speak up to my boss? What's a story about how you did that? Or how do you feel about the changes in the company as it relates to marketing? We talk about how much budget you get, and we're just open about it with each other. And those types of things are so valuable, you can't get unless you talk to other marketing directors. And it's hard to find that diversity. And we encourage each other in that. So that's what I mean. This kind of thing has shaped and become something much greater than I ever thought it could, only because, it's not just about me. It's about the group. It's about the community. And we're very small. This is not hundreds of thousands of people. This is 30, 40 people in a group doing real stuff every day.
Got it. And if someone is not quite a marketing director, but they're maybe like a marketing manager on the cusp of becoming a marketing director, should they show up for the group, or should they wait until they get the promotion?
Don't wait for yourself, not just for my group, but say yes to yourself always. We have some marketing managers in the group who've been promoted. We have marketing directors in the group who've been promoted. We have some VPs in the group as well. But many people in the group have gotten promoted. I would like to say as a result of the group, and I think they would say that as well. The things we teach in the group are, again, the stuff that will get results, but also stuff that will help you move on and get promoted. We even have some tools as well to help you get promoted in terms of keeping you apprised of the right jobs and opportunities for you as well. So we're very much about getting results, and leveling up in your career as well, which means either getting promoted in the role you've got or finding the next role to move up on.
Outstanding. Well, Tim, thank you so much for being on Content Kingdom. We really appreciate it. You got a great system here, and I hope our listeners will take you up and go to your marketing roundtable.
Yes, we'd love to connect with them on LinkedIn. Thanks, David.
Coke or Pepsi?
I used to be a Pepsi guy, but I've come around and realized that Coke is way better.
For 30 minutes, you either have to bike, run, or swim. Which do you pick?
I, despite living in Florida, cannot swim. I never learned how. I'm not from Florida originally, so that's my excuse. So I probably would not choose swim because I would drown. I would probably choose biking. That sounds like the easiest to do.
Movies on the silver screen or movies at home?
Definitely at home. I describe myself as an introverted introvert. So being at home sounds perfect. And that way you can also not have anybody talking around you, and you could skip through the parts that are slower. Yeah, I think that'd be great. Movies at home all the way.
On the weekend, over-the-ear headphones or earbuds?
Oh, that's good. I have both, but I had to get noise canceling. I have a young daughter, but they do get hot. That's what I found. So I think I prefer the AirPods. But if there's noise canceling is game changing for sure.
Rock, rap, country, or jazz?
Ooh, none of the above. However,
really,
I listen to a lot of like electronica music. It's just like no words, because when I'm working, that's what I listen to. I can't have words. Or I listen to rain sounds. That's my favorite music of all time.
Drones, love them or hate them?
I'd have to go with hate them. I think they're cool technology, cool to play with, but I think I hate them.